Hi, everyone. Welcome to We Didn't Turn Out Okay. I'm here with Erin Morrison. She's the creator of Conscious Mom and an author and a coach.
I am.
I see it wasn't a mouthful, but can you share who you are in your own words as a professional and as a mom?
I love that. It's so good. Well, I am, in fact, the creator of The Conscious Mom on Instagram. And now I'm an author. I just wrote a book, 3 Minutes for Mom, and it's a daily guide for moms to take maybe 3 minutes a day to read just little things to help them get connected and grounded. And I do work with parents. And so I started out, I have a master's degree in counseling from our school, from Columbia. And, I practiced, I did internships and things in counseling. And I realized I want to be more of a coach. And so I coach moms and dads and I help them figure out their stuff.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by coaching them? Can you give sort of an example of how someone would come to you in case listeners would like to know more about
Of course. That? I always say it's when you've tried different parenting methods and you feel like nothing's working and you just can't feel like you're not connected to your kid or you feel like it's just not working. I help parents figure out their stuff so it doesn't become their kid's stuff. That's my very layman's way of saying it. It's of course we get into inner child and ego and all of that, but really when it gets down to it, it's you're the parent that shows up to do the parenting. So no matter what style you're using, it's still you. It all comes out. You rip off your gentle parenting mask after 2 minutes, and I help parents clear out all that stuff and figure it out so they can be the parent they want to be.
Yes. I mean, it's so apropos that you're here on We Didn't Turn Out Okay because it's exactly what I want to do in different ways.
You're our collective coach online. I feel like you are through your videos. It is. That's what you do. I feel like you're always pinpointing specific issues that we're struggling with. You just don't do individual.
Right. But you also, it's how we connected. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, you also do it collectively in addition to, one-on-one. But 3 Minutes for Mom, you kind of flew over it and did not give it justice because I own it. And I really felt like it was a hug when I opened it and saw the title because you just know, right, that anything more than 3 minutes feels daunting. But I want to also know for you personally why it felt important to title it that and shape it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I of course, I could have written a huge book on different parenting, approaches. But I just really feel in today's world, there's so much that comes at us. And I can feel, even with my background, overwhelmed with all the information I get about how to be a parent, what to say to your kids, what not to say to your kids. And I just wanted to quiet the noise for moms so that they could have a moment to just sort of regroup and reconnect, but to their selves. It's not about what I believe is best. It's about me helping moms get more connected to themselves so they can connect to their kids. And that's really what it is. And I've sprinkled in so many things there. I love that my husband was so funny. He was he's, has read the book, but he's okay, pages 1 through 5 are really nice, gets you eased into it. And then page 6 and 7, it's boom, this is more about your own emotions. And so I really weave it in. It's some lighthearted stuff, some games, fun things that you probably would say we should do. And then it's more deeper things. And so it's just really a way for moms to, I feel it's to wake up or post drop off because I did an Audible one, which I love. So you can listen. Yeah, you can just listen to 3 minutes.
The best.
I think your voice is the best.
With you. Oh my God.
That's so funny. I feel the same way when you do your audio, the voiceovers. I love it.
That's going to motivate me now. I never know if I should do that.
I like those.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I like those. But I found I do not like waking up and scrolling because I feel it lets so much into my head before I start the day. So I really have it on my nightstand. I mean, I have them everywhere all over my house, but I have it on my nightstand, and that's what I like to read. I read it before bed and in the morning. And then also for moms on the go, because I'm always in my car. If you've seen me, I'm usually making videos in my car. And I just wanted that quick reset. And I've shared it with my friends who have zero to do with therapy and conscious parenting. And they've given me their honest opinion. And they've said we love most of it. There's some things that I'm no way, too much talk about emotion. And I love that they've given me that feedback because this is really take what you want and leave the rest. And in 3 minutes a day, I feel it's pretty simple.
Oh, yeah.
Just to feel you have something that is anchoring you to be back to the mom that you are, not the mom that's yelling or upset.
Yes.
All of that.
Oh my God, 100%.
That's it.
And I also agree that you said there's just so much out there. I don't even think just with parenting, of course, that feels the most relevant to what we do. But I'm on this new, journey in life that, of course, our algorithm hears everything we talk about. And so my feed is all like manifesting. And that can even feel overwhelming. It's like no matter what topic. But what I love about 3 Minutes for Mom is that, it kind of embodies parenting and the self-work, which is what you said is the point. But when I think about manifesting or just kind of taking more charge of your life, it always says wake up and kind of get clear on what your intention is for the day. And that feels overwhelming to me, believe it or not. But 3 Minutes for Mom does that.
It's so quick. It's honestly so quick. And it depends, like, so you can go day by day if you want, or you can just like open up. Like the index is great too, because it's like if you're having a hard time with bedtime, there's like 6 pages on bedtime, or like, whatever age child you have too. It really goes up into like the tween and teen years. But no, you're so right. It's like, what are we focusing on? And I think, one of the pages I have in there is like making your, family mission statement or your vision statement. Like if you worked in a corporate world, there's a vision statement for your company, and most of the time they're trying to make decisions towards that mission or that vision. Like we need that for our kids. So I have that in there, like a fun thing that we can do for ourselves or our kids to like what matters to us. Like, why are we waking up every day and doing this? Like for what? Like what's the goal? And we get really lost in like the little things, of course, because we're human.
It trips us up and like we can't really move forward.
Yeah. Absolutely not. Yeah.
And I think no matter what page you open in the book, though, even if it's not like this is what my intention is for today, it just helps to ground me
I'm so
use
glad.
it in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love
but I need to use it at night.
It's a nice way because there's a lot that happens after the day, and you go through and you think about all the things that went on. But yeah, I'm so glad you like it. That makes me happy.
I really do.
Because like I think the whole thing that I've started to realize is, I have my background. I did a lot of training in conscious parenting, which, can sound very like you're meditating and you're just like enlightened. It's not that. Like conscious parenting is really like you understanding what's going on inside of you so that you can clear that away and then attune to the child in front of you instead of the little child in here,
Yes.
But I've really used such a blend of like, the formal education and counseling, the conscious parenting, and just, as I say, motherhood university. And I feel like all of that is really just being the most authentic version of yourself as a mom. Because when you're that, your kids love it. They crave it. Like our kids are the most authentic, connected little beings. And I think the more we're our true selves, the more you get out of that relationship and connect to them. And I've just seen that like in my own life with my kids and with my clients, like watching them shed those layers that they feel like they have to be because of whatever their families or whatever parenting style. And it's just amazing to see moms feel like they can just be themselves more.
Yes. And you're so right. Kids love that so much. And I actually want to ask you because I think, yes, they love it. You could see glimpses of them loving it when they're little, right? Like infants, toddlers, when you dance or you're like doing babble with them.
Yeah.
That's
the silliness they love.
Yeah,
they
that's
love
being
that.
authentic though,
They
right?
do, yeah.
There's no agenda there. You're just letting loose. But as they get older, I had a moment from this weekend that I can give as an example, but it reminds me because you didn't share. Share you as a mom.
Right. Oh, I did. I just moved past that. So I have two kids. Jonah is my oldest. He's turning 12. And Ellie is my youngest. And she is turning 10. I can't believe that.
I can't believe it.
And they love it. Jonah's like, it's my last year before I'm a teenager. And Ellie's like, I'm in double digits. Like they love because they know I tell them like, it makes me upset. Like I want you to be little. And they're like, what do you think? What do you think? So yes, they're a little on the older side, I think, maybe of the people that tend to like listen to your podcast or follow you. But
yeah, but
yes.
Do they know what you do? And like, can you
They do.
talk about
Oh my gosh, yes.
that stuff with them? Like when you say be your authentic self.
Yeah, I know.
We were
what does
talking
that
about
mean?
Infants and toddlers, just circling back. It means silly, but also now that they're a little bit older, do you share with them like, more than just like I'm having my own hard time or like do you share just authentically?
I love that. I've coined a term that I always say it's appropriate honesty is what I like to use. And appropriate meaning like based on the child's age. And I think in an example, like if I got in a fight with my husband right? Let's say I got in a fight with him and my kids either heard us like, and we're not like yellers. We're just like, we get snippy, right? Like we can get snippy but we usually, even if we're snippy, we still have some humor in it. But if my kids hear that, appropriate honesty would mean, hey, like, I know you heard us. Like I was so mad at Dad because he wasn't listening to me, whatever I might say. But I also make sure that they know, like, we always figure it out. Like, we always make it work. We always apologize. Like, you know how you fight with your brother? You know, I kind of use that. But, you know, the older your kids get, the more their antennas are up and they know what you're selling isn't real. Like, they're not buying what you're selling. And I've realized I'd rather show them what it's like to be an imperfect human and take accountability for it than pretending to be something else. And, like, I always say the kids are like the airport security dogs. They sniff it out and they know.
Yes.
And so I am pretty honest with them about stuff. But there are things that aren't appropriate yet that I don't share, you know, about them.
I agree. I just like to
hear. Like what is something? Well, I mean, this is like a little deep, but you know, my father passed away when I was younger, like way like, you know, I think I was 18 or 19, and it was like a tragic situation. And so I haven't shared with them how he passed away yet because I feel like it's a lot for them to digest, right? So that's something where we talk about that, you know, we talk about the positives of him. We don't go deep into the why there. I will when they're older. They haven't asked. Yeah. But when they do, like, well, what? Well, he was sick. I'm like, yes, he was sick. You know, I just get it. I don't go too deep into it because I know that they're not ready to hear
and you
that.
You may not be ready
to
share.
No, for sure.
Here I am giving you your own.
Yeah, you're right. No, of course not. And I want to be in a place where I can explain things, which, you know, kind of another good example is if your child does ask you a question that you don't want to answer, you don't know how to answer, that's honest right there too. You know what? Like, this is such a good question. I really want to give this the right, you know, amount of time to think about or talk to Dad or Mom. I'm going to come back to you soon with that answer.
Right. I was wondering if that was a response you had
of course.
To pull out yet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, not with that situation, but with so many things.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, obviously another topic like sex with our kids, like teaching them about that. You know, my oldest understands, my daughter doesn't yet. And the other day she's like, I really want to know exactly about what happens. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like, you know, tell me what you're talking about. And it turned out she was so far away from understanding, like really wanting to know. And I'm so glad I asked those questions because I could have like, really like thrown her for a loop.
Right.
Like I did. Wait, my biggest mistake was teaching her about periods way too early. She was like hysterical, like, I'm gonna bleed.
God.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, it's okay. But now, because she's old enough, she's like, oh, you have your period? Do you need a heating pad? She's like, Mom has her period. Like, you know, she gets cranky. I'm like, yes. Like, so I just try to make it as normal and comfortable as I can when, like you said, I have to be ready and I have to know my kids are ready. So that's like sort of my long-winded, appropriate honesty talk.
It's so true. And I think about it a lot when I'm like hearing Matt. Sometimes I'll overhear him trying to respond to things, but more like shutting it down because he just can't even like wrap his head around it.
Right,
I might come in and be like, I think what Daddy's saying, and I'll smile at him and be like, correct me, Daddy, is that he might not know how to answer that yet.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. And
I love yet. It's a good one. You know, it's a good one to use for them. And
I grew up with so many people being like, you know, I'll tell you when you're older. And that's like not.
Right. Like, when's older?
Right. I'm like, and that feels scary.
It does. And it does. And it makes it feel like something isn't okay and something isn't wrong. And I think, like, if we want our kids to be open and trust us, we have to give them that, but in, again, the appropriate way. Like, they have to know that they can trust that, hey, this isn't something that I'm ready to talk about with you. Or, you know what, I really think that I want to do some, you know, talking with Daddy before I give you some details, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You know, I think it's like, if we can show them that they can trust us at the early years, like, hopefully that paves the foundation. Yes. You know, but I also tell parents, like, once they start to get to the tween and teen years, like, they're not supposed to tell you everything. Like, it's isn't it awful? Okay, my son, which I'm not going to say too much because he is at that age where I don't want to like say too much about him, but he does talk to me about a lot of things. And when I share it with, you know, my other friends, they're like, he comes to you to tell you these things? I'm like, I know, and I'm really glad. And does he tell me everything? No, but like, he does give me details about maybe if he likes somebody or some drama that happens. And I'm so glad.
Can you share what you think contributed to him feeling comfortable or what your reactions or responses are?
I listen and I don't judge. I feel like that's what I do. I just listen.
Like, do you sometimes not even respond?
No, I listen and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, so the other day there was a situation with him at school. There was like some kids that are being mean to him. He was upset. He was so, and this is something I wrote on like what I wanted to talk about because this is something I struggle with. And I feel like it's not perfect how I do it, but it's what I know works because I see the evolution of our conversation. He comes to me upset about a social situation because that's everything at this age. When you're like 11, 12 and into the teen years, your social life is everything. And it's supposed to be that way. It doesn't mean you detach completely from your family, but it's almost like you keep coming back and forth, right? We want that. We want them to have home base, go out into the world, and then come back to us. And he is still depositing some information, which is great. And I have to like hold back because I'm like, so what happened? What's going on with so-and-so? And he's like, Mom. I'm like, okay, sorry. Like pretend like I don't care, but I can't wait to hear about it. So anyway, one night he was complaining about something, so upset. Like it killed me to see how upset he was. And I kept trying to help him figure it out. And I realized he was still stuck in that like really upset emotion. And then I just dropped it and I was just like, that was like, I just was like, you're right. That was really hard. Like I reminded myself a little bit about that age and I just stopped trying to fix and really just listened. And
like meaning when you were trying to fix and saw that it wasn't like creating any movement from him.
Yeah, it was almost like I was saying, oh well, like maybe they didn't mean this
and
or da-da-da-da-da.
Like shutting that down.
Yeah,
or,
and
like,
he just
nothing was.
I could just think he was just. I didn't see him moving through his emotions like I know we do. Like we have emotions when we talk to our friends, our girlfriends. We are typically like venting, and then we move through it because we've had some clarity. And I realized he wasn't doing that. The moment I stopped, he really. Like just started saying, you're right. Like that was so hard. And that was a hard day. It's almost like I could see it like leave his body. Like instead of me resisting his emotion, I was like, yeah, you're right. And it kind of dissipated and he went to bed. So
it's so hard for us to practice
oh my
as
God,
parents.
I hate it.
But have you now taken that tool or it's too recent? Like now if he comes to you again, are you going to now just instead of trying to respond and
I mean, I do at times. It's not like I sit there like a robot and I'm like, right, okay, yes. No, I'm listening and I'll make a little comment or whatever I might make, but I realize like it's not for me to solve. Like he's going to have the tools. This happened with him a while back, a couple years ago in a different like friend lunch tables are everything around these ages, who you sit with at lunch, and he wasn't liking his lunch table. And I was like, just move tables. And he's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You don't just move tables. Like it's a huge thing.
You realize like he's
it killed me.
About me giving him like a tool. Of course, he's probably thought of that and like hasn't done it for a reason, right?
Exactly.
But it's so hard to do.
So hard.
What you're saying because it feels kind of weird because we're wired to like fix or we've been responded to that way. I don't really know, or it's just human nature.
Oh, of course. Well, here's the thing.
My friend had like a 1.5-year-old that we were just with, and I forget what it was. Like she wanted like the sunscreen and all of my friends were like, give her this instead. And my friend's like, no, she doesn't get distracted. I was like, how about just you really wanted to hold on to that sunscreen? And everyone I know that sounds robotic or like you really wanted that sunscreen. Yeah. I don't sound robotic in it because I'm like, used to talking to
I'm just laughing because I've been there. I'm like, I know. It's like that thing is like attached to them like it's their limb. Like they want it.
But even after you say like you really wanted that, people are like, okay, but what's next? So they're like, yeah, but you can have this. I'm like, let's just try not. It was sort of like I was like using it as like a case study. It's my best friend in the world.
Aww.
And she was like, no, she gets over things. I'm like, exactly. Like you could just say you really wanted that. But we feel weird ending it there.
100%.
And not ending it, but just not saying more.
Well, I feel like a question I always ask parents is like, well, are you reacting to your own emotion about this or are you responding to theirs? Because a lot of times, like, okay, of course we don't ever want to see our kids experience any discomfort or pain, but a lot of times we just want to like make it stop. Yes, because we love them, but more because like we don't want to see them in any discomfort. Like, of course not. That's your baby. And they're still your baby when they're 12.
Tolerate it.
Yeah. And so I think that that's the natural progression is like we problem solve, the good enough mother, right? Like that's the point. You're not always going to be there and it slowly like tapers away and you have to know that if you've built that like solid foundation of trust, which it's never too late as well. Like I think people, if they feel like, oh, they don't trust me. No, you can start. You start small with the smallest things, right? That like, oh, you know what? You can trust me that I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z, or that I'm going to tell you to pick up your shoes and you're going to do it. I'm not going to be like looking over your shoulder. You know, like anything you can do to build that trust, that's going to take them through their teenage years to know they can come to you. And of course, I always tell them, as long as you're honest with me, you're not going to get in trouble. Even if it's something that you know it's going to make me mad, I'll always just say, yeah, of course I'm upset that you broke something, but you're not in trouble because you were honest with me. I don't know. We'll see how that works up to age 18.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I think what I realized to really let go of trying to fix was because of my own, like, you know, even now, I remember one time, or just recently, when you're older and you might go to your parent, or when I go to my mom, I realized like her responses almost like make it feel like it like demeaning a little. And she doesn't mean to. Oh my God, she's like the most loving. But if it seems huge to me and she's like, well, why don't you do this or that? It's sort of like, yeah, I've thought of that. Why do you think I'm coming to you? I feel like there's no, you know, I have honestly said to her, like, can't you just be like, oh, that sucks. You know what I mean?
I think 99% of the time we go to our loved ones to be heard. And I don't mean like people just repeating how they're feeling and like validating.
I just mean like
somewhere. You just want to know, you just want to share your experience.
Right. You don't want to be alone in it.
That's your podcast. Hello. You're sharing the motherhood experience. We want to know like, oh my God, me too. Same. 100%. So it's no different from your mom, no different from my Jonah or my Ellie or your girls. Like they just want to know that what they're experiencing is like someone cares for them, that someone else maybe has been there before. Yes. But like, of course, it's not the same.
Yeah.
I'm not the same.
Oh my God.
Know. Yes. Yeah. I'm not you. And by the way, you're like, oh, do your kids know what you do? Yes. And because they're their age, they'll be like, oh, okay, conscious mom. Is that right? I'm like, it sure is.
Oh my God.
It's
that's
so
what
good.
I wanted. The story that I wanted to give as an example. Okay. But yes, I was just going to say, like, when you said, it's different, you know, when you try to say to your kid, like, I know how that feels, or like, I might have had that experience, and they might want to shut that down and be like, but it's different. Absolutely. But there's even times before I even like can share what it is that I feel like Tess knows, like, oh, here's like the mommy spiel. Like, she'll be like, no, like before I can even like share, she'll just like know when it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
But something that I wanted to ask, even on like a non-surface level about what you do now, because your kids are 9 and 11, Tess did some, you know, overheard something this weekend that I was like so surprised about. So we were at a restaurant and she's like, oh, mommy, that mom sounded like you. I didn't hear the mom. And I was like, what? She's like, I just heard her say, how did you think to do that? And I was like so floored that, like, you know, I don't think I say that all the time. And I was like, oh, yeah. What did you think when you heard that? Or no, I was like, what do you think? Yeah. Not what did you think when you heard that? I was like, yeah, I do say that. I was like, do you like when I say that? And she's like, didn't answer or smiled. I was like, do you wish I said something else? Like, we were able to have this like conversation. She's like, sometimes I wish you would just say it's beautiful. Oh, and then we talked about, I was like, do you know why I don't? And we were like smiling. Like, this wasn't like me therapizing her or whatever. Like, I was like, do you know why I don't? I just couldn't believe that my 7-year-old and I could have this conversation. And she's like, no. She was still coloring. I was like, because I want you to draw it or create it for you first. I want to know what you feel about it first. I was like, I probably think everything you draw is beyond beautiful. And I will tell you also, after I ask you, when I really think that, you know, something like that, I was like, but I really want to know what you feel about it first when you're drawing. I want it to come from you, something like that. And she totally understood it. And it was just, I don't know.
I love that. I feel like it's so nice. And I feel like you can have those conversations. Like, it's never in the moment when you're both emotional. You can have those conversations because she witnessed something and like was able to bring it to you. It was like
right. And you can't plan it was for more it. Mommy than like mainstream, right? Like,
yeah.
I just felt like that's what stood out to her. Like,
well, it's also she did it. Like, she wanted that conversation, which was so great. Yeah. Like, she wanted to talk about it.
Right. Like, and actually, that sounds like mommy, but why does mommy do that? Yeah.
I like it. I think that conversation was perfect because she is telling you she already knows that you care deeply about her opinion, and then she just wants like normal praise. Like, that's fine, right? Like, what is like, I think there's like a, you know, sort of this thread in parenting that you're supposed to like only praise your kids for their efforts, and it just, again, that's part of that noise. I think that someone probably recognized that in maybe a group of children and decided that this is now like an epidemic. Like,
totally.
You know, like, oh my God, all these kids, they think everything is perfect. That's just not the case. And I think that we as like millennial-ish moms, like the pendulum has swung so far maybe from the direction of like our parents that we're just like overcorrecting, and that's totally fine. I think we have so much like awareness of it that we can make it go a little like to the middle. And your daughter, because of how you are, she was able to approach you and tell you. So that's why it's not like, oh my gosh, we've
she felt like comfortable. Like, yeah.
She was like, but isn't it beautiful? You know, I was going to ask you, like, my kids will do like drawings or they'll do a performance or something, and they'll be like, okay, who won? And it's so hard for me to be like,
it's not a contest.
Yeah, but they want a rating. Like, that is life. Like, when you go to compete in sports, there's a winner or a dance competition. But at home, that is like, I have no answer for you on that, because I am like, you both won. They're like, ew, no, that's not how it is. Right. They want to know. I'm like, well, fine, you were the most creative and yours was the most like articulate. And they're like, they're so mad at me. I'm like,
oh my God. It reminds me of like when they'll come home with like artwork or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tess will show me her picture, and then Nell will or something, and I might make a comment that's genuine, not ignoring the other, but like, let's say, or Tess is like, Mom, I just look at what I did today. And I'll be like, that is amazing. I can't believe you did that. You're so smart. I might say something like that. And Nellie will be like, I'm not smart. And I know that when I'm telling Tess that Nellie is feeling that, but it doesn't stop me. I want them to be like learning moments, right? Like, it has to be.
Because it also happens at school. It also happened at work. Like, I mean, of course, like they get called out in positive ways at school. So yeah, no, that's so great. See, I think there's a lot of moms that come to me like in my individual like sessions where they'll be like, but like, okay, and like, don't worry, I said like, you know, I'm so proud of your hard work. And I'm like, okay, but like you can also say good job, like for just good job. I just think there's just so much overthinking that it's just like, what if we quiet all of that noise? You know, maybe follow some people that you find are helpful. Maybe stick to one book. I just think there's just too much information. Too much. And then and that really takes you out of your authentic self. Because you're not connected to you. You're trying to like please and do all these other things that you're hearing, and it's like then you're not even you, and it's so frustrating. I think
so too. And me and Tess did talk about that. I was like, maybe I'll say that first, but then usually what comes after it, and like I wait, and she's like, sometimes you'll tell me, and I do sometimes, you know, I'll follow it up, and that's usually what out there is not saying to do, right? I just think initially I would love to know how she thought of it, but I think you can use that with the whole like contest thing. Like, what did you guys think?
Yeah, and I of course I do that, and they're like,
what do you think? You know, just like
you decide who the winner is.
Yeah,
no.
That.
Well, it's so funny. I did that. We had like a Friendsgiving thing that we did last year, and we still laugh at this because I had a turkey drawing contest. The kid, and I had like these huge like squish animals as like the prize. I mean, these kids, they needed it though. They were in tears. Like the oldest, who's like 13, to the like 5-year-old, were hysterical because someone that we did not think was going to win, because we did it blind. We like put the pictures up and we put the numbers, and all the parents went and voted. Hysterical. We're like, these kids need more.
Right.
They need to realize that not everyone's going to get a participation.
Right.
You know?
My God.
But I like what you said though, because it's great. It's like, you know what? I want to know what you think of it, and of course, I think it's wonderful.
Right. Yeah. And then I might say like what I think, you know, afterwards. I just like that to be the start of it, right? I think coming from someone who really remembers doing things to get the approval. And we
are the same. We are the same. I knew it. I
don't we all want to hear? I was like, you usually probably want to hear what the grown-up has to say about it, right? Like, I know that about you. And she smiled. I was like, that's why I want you to sometimes think about like what you felt about it before you think of the grown-up.
I think that's great. And I think it's a case-by-case basis, too. So that's
totally.
The thing.
Some kids probably, like this is not applicable.
Well, what did she say? Did she like it?
Oh, about, well, it wasn't a drawing in that moment. But then afterwards, like the next time, I think it was like an hour later, she did show it to me, and I smiled, and I was like, I'm going to tell you what I like about it first now.
Oh, I like that. What I like about it. Yeah. Okay, good. I'll use that next time.
I think it's also just that I think sometimes it feels ingenuine. We're talking about authenticity here. To just be like, it's beautiful, good job. Like, that's not how the world works about every single thing we create. So I think there's just sometimes, it's not just like, oh, well, I love your hard work. Like, I don't like that either.
Doesn't
I think
feel
it's
right.
truly like, oh, I really love how you did the sun.
Right, the details, right? And I think that's like, I think a lot of parents, like, again, feel pressure to be present all the time and, like, you know, be a mom who's doing imaginary play, which I'm fine with personally. But I know a lot of moms don't like that. I get into it, of course. It's like my personality. But people don't like it. And I just think it's like, wait a second. You have to take a step back. And it's not about doing it all the time. It's about, like, what's the most doable way for you to connect with your kid right now? And maybe if it's not imaginary play, that's fine. But, like, maybe it is, like, talking about the details of their drawing and you trying to copy it. Like, I just think we need to, again, like, take a step back and just say, like, well, what is my child's favorite way that I connect with them, you know, and what's my favorite way, and try to find
a middle,
you know, like a middle ground for it. It's
it's so true. And I think so many people think if I don't like pretend play, like, it means I don't like play. And I agree that there's so many times where I'll say to a parent, if, you know, when they're like, what do I do when she's asking me to play and I don't want to? I was like, have you tried being like, I want to watch you? And they're like, that doesn't work. I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, but you can say, I don't want to play this, and you can suggest something. Like, that's totally fine.
I have to do that all the time.
Maybe, I know you want to play Barbies now. I don't want to play Barbies now, but I'm happy to draw with you after. Whatever you want to, or play cards. It just doesn't need to be what people think it needs to be.
And if you're feeling connected to your child and you're getting that connection, then it doesn't have to be everything they want to do every minute of the day. Like, that's impossible. Like, absolutely not. Like,
on that note, just as you're saying it, because I have this noise sometimes of, like, trying to remember now that my girls are older, like, what it felt like at that age. And did you play with your parents?
I think so. I think I play with my mom more than my dad. I feel like with my dad, I would do, like, activities. We would, like, bike riding. With my mom, I do think she really got into it. And so maybe that's why.
How do you feel about both of those things? Like, is there one that you feel showed more love than the other?
I don't think so. I think everyone has different connections with parents. Like, I know I was more connected to my mom, my sister more to my dad, just because of their personalities. But no, I look back and I know my mom played with me, but that was definitely not the majority of my childhood. We were outside riding bikes, playing with, you know, knocking on doors and seeing who wanted to play. So I do not remember a childhood where it was only my mom playing with me, but she was a very silly, like, both my mom and my dad were both very silly, playful, didn't take themselves too seriously. And that's, like, my favorite thing that I've gotten from them, because it allows me to be the same way with my kids, and really just, like, all kids, because I just love watching, like, I was going to touch on this before. I feel like I always do that. I, like, get distracted when I'm talking, but when you're watching your kids play, it's a lot of pressure for you to join in. But if you do actually watch them and you see what they're doing and you hear what they're saying, like, I find that to be the most wonderful experience as a parent, to be like, oh my gosh, like, there's so much, like, that wonder and awe that, like, children have. And we just, like, kind of get a glimpse of that, I think is just so awesome. And I feel like that really helps you connect to their play in some way. Yeah. But for a lot of parents, it's not easy to be silly. It's not easy to, you know, let their guard down, because it's like a vulnerability thing. Like, play is so much about letting your guard down and not having an end goal. And we're just, you know,
that's really hard to do, even if they're young kids. I'll never forget. But just responding to that about watching, that was, like, my first glimpse of, like, what meditation was like, was me before I even had kids, like, really just sitting in, like, a classroom and watching and hearing kids play, and, like, really, like, getting to know them in that way, and just, like, letting everything else go. But the vulnerability piece, and it's why I say to parents, have you tried asking if you could watch? Because I think they'll learn something from that and be able to, like, see how they can connect in their play if they want to. But the vulnerability piece is so real. I'll never forget, like, first being in a classroom, and they're like, lead a circle time. And, like, these were, like, 2-year-olds. And, like, even just singing, like, Row Your Boat felt really, like, I felt like I was, like, Raffi on stage.
Love Raffi.
Like it could be just you and your child and can feel that way, right? Like you almost feel like you're performing, and that's like really hard for people. But circling back a little bit to like when I asked about your parents, like my mom never played with us. And I didn't remember that until I started trying to think about it, because I never felt any lack of love or involvement or presence or like always being there. And I just remember like endless memories and such fond ones playing with my sisters.
Aww, yeah.
Not to say that like you either have to have a parent or a sibling. I just mean that like here I am putting my pressure on myself sometimes to play, and like my mom never did.
I know, yeah.
It's just, I think there's stuff where you can access fond parts of your childhood to like give you permission.
Oh, I like that.
That's like really, something that I've recently, and you know, because my kids are older, like I remember memories at 5 and 7. I don't remember like 2 and 3.
No.
At 2 and 3, I'm like, I must play.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah.
I'm kidding. I loved it because it's what I did.
Of course it is. And I think too, like, again, it comes back to like our, like, just where we're at right now in motherhood, of like our, like the culture of motherhood is like that you have to be so involved. And it's like, you know what? They actually like play is how they learn, but not through adults, because we are not the best at play. They are. They're good. What we tend to do now in our era is like the boredom we find is like we're like worried about boredom, and then they don't like to be bored. And it's about withstanding I always say supervised boredom is important, right? Because you don't want your kids to be off and finding things that aren't safe or healthy for them. That's highly unlikely, I'm sure, for anyone listening to this. But it's about letting them find the boxes or do whatever they need to do to play, and you not intervening. I mean, it's no different than me trying to intervene with Jonah's social life, you know, versus me trying to intervene and like tell her the right way to play grocery store. Like, I'm like, I found myself sometimes playing with my daughter a little younger, and her telling me like, okay, you're going to do, well, some kids struggle with this, but like, kids want you to play, but they're going to tell you what to say. And then I'm like, excuse me, like, can I have some creative freedom? Like, I would like to be this way, you know? And it's just so funny. I'm like, I can't even let go and play, you know, sometimes. And so if someone takes something away from this, it's like, take a step back. Your child's going to figure that out in play first and foremost, let alone hard, big emotions if you're by their side.
The precursor, truly.
Yeah.
For both you and your child, like, is that play. I wanted to hear from you on this subject of boredom, because I think that what's wrapped into boredom and why it's hard for us to kind of tolerate in our kids is the story we tell ourselves about it. They're bored because I haven't provided enough, or I truly believe that a lot of the times we can't tolerate, of course, or we think like they're going to like tease each other or whatever, pick up a scissor and cut their hair off, which has happened in my household. But
I mean, like, have you even lived if your kid hasn't chopped off their hair yet? Like, it's coming. It's coming.
Yes. I thought that I went unscathed, but no. What are your thoughts on boredom? And then also I'd love to hear from you about like screen time.
I know. That's like such a hot topic for us in our family. I think with boredom comes, so I feel like we have like parallel lives of what we do for work. I help the parent, and you help the child with the parent, you know? So I think, and I'm going to answer it in my realm of like, we have a hard time watching our children experience emotions that we have a difficult time with. So if your child's bored and doesn't know what to do with themselves, and boredom is a mild discomfort. And we as adults right now are really struggling with experiencing mild discomfort because of our phones. You know, it's just, I'm not like a phone hater. I'm not a screen hater. It's not that at all. Like, but if you think about when you leave the studio to your car, or you leave a doctor's office to your car, or to however you transport yourself, are you looking at your phone for what? Like, maybe we have work emails, you know, but we really struggle with just being, because that's the world that we live in. It's not a negative thing in the sense of look what we're doing, we're bad. It's just, this is the world we live in. So now we have to figure out ways to help our children, because they're growing up in a screen world. Like, they need them for school. You know, it's like you can't keep it away from them to the point where they don't know how to use it. So I think a lot of times with the boredom comes whining, and comes, children having those types of emotions. And we don't want to experience it in them because of what it brings up for us.
Yeah.
So what you said, oh, I haven't done enough. Like, we always make it about us. And it's so funny in motherhood because so much is about us and so much isn't. And we tend to swap it. Like we tend to miss out on the things that are
accurate. Like what is irrational.
Right.
But I think that for me, sometimes that's what it brings up. Their discomfort. And also like, wait, should we be going bike ride? Like, I'm just saying like that. It doesn't make me change necessarily the trajectory of the day.
Well, that's great.
But I do have that thought sometimes. And then when I like check it, I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that you do that.
Say, internally, it's why I'm able to now speak about it because this is like self-aware moments I've had throughout motherhood. And I might say, I know you'll come up with something.
Mm-hmm. You're so good.
I like love saying that.
Yeah.
They get so annoying.
Yeah, they're like, no, I won't. And that's it. You have to withstand the storm of their emotions. That is the hardest part of parenting for me and for most parents that I hear. And any emotion, even just discomfort and boredom, let alone other things like their disappointment or feeling like they don't have power over something. There's so many emotions that just trigger us to a point that we're not aware of. And I know we use the word trigger a lot, but like I use it in the sense it's like, I'm so triggered. Everyone's a gaslighter. Da, 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 da. Like, I know, but when I say trigger, I mean, my reaction does not feel like in proportion with what's happening.
Right. Oh, I'm like queen of that.
So I'm like, and so what you just did was great. And so that's what I share with moms all the time. Mom guilt, we hear about all the time. Well, there's two types of mom guilt. There's healthy and there's unhealthy. Healthy mom guilt is the check you just did. Wait a second, let me take a step back and see like, is what's happening, like, is the guilt I feel leading me to a place that I want to be?
Right.
Because I've been astray. No, you're like,
and
no,
you
I'm
let
good.
It take over.
So you were like, oh, wait, that's the unhealthy guilt.
Totally.
Unhealthy guilt is that loop that no matter what option you choose, you're still going to feel it. And that's when you know, wait, this is not actually a helpful emotion. This is something else that I'm going to put over here and deal with my therapist or my coach later, right?
Yeah, totally. And that came, right, this wasn't like I just had a kid and I have these self-aware, like, moments that I can circle myself out of. Yeah, it came with like time of realizing the benefit of boredom and how that is totally a discomfort for all of us. And the phone thing is so real, this like without being, and it's something that, I'm implementing in my own life and realizing just how amazing it is. I mean, I don't want to be all woo-woo, but like I won't pick up my phone till like 9 a.m. to the point where like even this morning.
Where that I just didn't know where to go. So thank you. No, I'm kidding. I love that. I actually adore when someone doesn't respond because I'm that way too. But I feel bad about it because I know that people will feel like I don't care about them.
I know. Well,
but
again,
it's not.
These are like guilt things. It's not true.
I think we're the first generation of mothers to experience urgency culture where everything has to happen right now. A text, you need to respond. An email, you better have like figured that
100%.
out. A phone call, I don't pick it up if I don't want to talk. Right. I don't have to. Can you imagine? Like I used to feel like I needed to pick up every phone call. No, I mean, people don't call as much anymore, I've trained them. No, but like we have to realize that not everything is urgent. I mean, I have 0 notifications on my phone besides the school nurse and my husband. That's it.
Exactly.
I don't care about what's going. I mean, I care about what's going on in the world, but I don't need it. I don't need a play by play.
What's healthy for you,
exactly,
and what's needed. And I think the just being moments, even if you have to build them in and give yourself these like boundaries like I do with the 9 a.m. thing, like you're not living otherwise. And I think that for me, like leading just to the screen time for my kids, that's what makes me feel most triggered by screen time is when I feel like my kids want it to fill like the gaps that I myself am using it for.
Mine too.
Right? Like picking up, right. That's what I have a hard time tolerating because I know what it can lead to, right? Like here we are, and we didn't even have phones till, I mean, I don't want to age you.
How dare you? Yeah, no, I'm good. No, we did not have phones. I didn't have a phone, but even so, our phones were different. It was literally for a phone call. There's nothing else.
So just imagine what that trajectory is like. And, even seeing like, we were just with my parents this weekend and my dad is like really... And not addicted to negative things, addicted to like showing us YouTube. It's so cute, right? Addicted to like, let's take a video of me and the girls singing. Like it's all like fun.
Oh wait, I saw
nice
that. That was really cute.
But it's like let's just hang out or like walk the dogs or whatever. And I'm maybe exaggerating it, but I just see that patterning. So with a 9 and 11-year-old, do you feel like they push back when you try to like?
Always. It's always that. And I can't tell you how many kids at the age that my kids are at have phones. And I have zero judgment on that. I just know my kids and what's right for them.
Right.
And I go back and forth with myself every day, because at this point when my son drops off to different activities or he goes somewhere without me, I do want him to have a way to contact me. I want that. Like, so I have to figure out, and I am figuring out a way to go about that, you know, so that they can have a way to contact me. And something I love that parents are doing now is having a cell phone that's like their house phone. And that's what they use. It's the phone that's like, it stays at their house. But if your child needs to leave and go somewhere else, that's like they get to take the house phone with them to make a call back home. It's not their personal phone that they get.
What does this mean? Like,
meaning
it looks like a house phone?
No, just a cell phone. Like it could be an iPhone, but it's like it's the house's phone. It's not just your, like Jonah doesn't just get phone. Yeah, it's his right. So the like home phone, right. So you get to take that phone. So like when we go, we love a little beach town that we vacation all the time. When he goes off riding his bike and he wants to go further now, and I get it, and it's so fun, and I want him to explore. He loves to drop his bike and go climb trees. It's like everything I want for him, right? Yeah. But I also freak out.
Totally. I actually have thought about this. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I want to be able to allow that, but I love this home phone idea.
I know. So that's what he's going to get. So, you know, he's graduating 5th grade. Adorable. He's going to middle school. Wild. And he wrote, because, you know, everyone has a phone. And me and my husband have gone back and forth on this. And he's like, Erin, like, he will, like, Jonah's like, I'm going to get bullied for not having a phone. Do you understand this? And my husband's like, it's kind of right. Like, kids have that. I'm like, right. But not all kids have it. And so he's asking me, not because he really wants a phone.
I know.
He's because he doesn't want to be left out. And I understand that, because that is a very real feeling for kids in the tween like age. You don't want to be
like,
different.
The wait till 8th and all of that. It
Which
has to be like
I wish.
Full, I know.
It's not down in South Florida. It's not happening.
You're like me. Yeah. I'm hoping, but
I hope so. So my solution will be that. And so he even said to me, am I going to get a phone? I go, honey, no. As my husband and I had this talk, even though we will get a phone, we don't want it to be this gift that like, here, it's your phone. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be like, this is a communication device. You know, he's like, I can't even get Blockbuster on it, Blockbuster. So I'm like, you know, like
wait, you can like
no,
rent?
Sorry. Yeah, no. It's like a game where you just like line up. Tetris. It's Tetris, right. I think is what it is. And so, yeah, it's like, it's a real struggle. And it's like, how do I find that balance? And I think you have to know your kid, because I know mine and my oldest, he will be addicted to it. He will. He knows it. If I have brownies in the house, he'll tell me, Mom, please throw them away. I can't stop myself. Right. You know, he knows that. So I have to, as a parent, recognize my kid's frontal lobes are not developed, and I can't expect to put something in front of him that's calling him to use it. Not just because of the device and how a phone works, but also because everyone else is using it.
Right.
That like, how can I expect him to like regulate and like be, you know, responsible with that at such a young age?
He gets it?
No, he's like, oh, no, like he's upset about it.
I was gonna say, like, how could he?
No,
right?
He doesn't.
He hears you. Yeah, it's really
He's not
tough.
supposed to either.
Right.
I don't think he should be like, you know.
You're right, Mom.
There is no child. I feel like there's no child that's going to say, Mom, thanks for that boundary. You really love me. No, they're not. But me, as almost 40, like I look back and say, thank you so much, Mom, for like setting those rules where I wasn't allowed to go. We had a guard gate in this big community. I wasn't allowed to go off to the guard gate like the other kids because it was really far, and they were always up to no good anyway.
Right.
I'm so glad I didn't get pulled into that, you know? Like, and she set that boundary. I hated it then. So there's no instant gratification of being a good mom and setting boundaries for kids today. Like, your kids aren't going to say thank you so much for that. They're going to actually, it's the opposite. You're not going to feel good. You're going to feel like you're a bad mom and question yourself because they're big emotions about feeling like it's not fair or I'm so different. I don't have a phone. So, I mean, it's a big topic. And I think it's different for everyone.
It's so interesting as you brought up the like gate thing and like being grateful for that.
I am. I truly am.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, you like loved me so much in the right ways. Like, right. I'm so grateful
like
for the boundaries.
It's affirming for you when you're setting boundaries to know that like the long game is far more valuable than.
But I think it's harder. I really truly think it's harder for our generation because we're so attuned and in tune with our kids' emotions, like to a fault, that we can't separate. Whereas where does my child's emotion end and mine begin?
Yes.
And that's like the biggest thing I always say to parents, like take a step back and say, am I responding to my child's emotions or am I reacting to my own? And you really have to ask yourself that question like several times a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's really hard to do when it's not like you can preempt your emotion you're already feeling and be like, before I feel this, like what's really going to be going on here, right? It's usually when you're already like in the throes of your emotion.
Yes. I did like a group the other day with like a small group of moms and they were like, okay, but really like, how do you do that? Because like, how am I not going to yell in this moment? I'm like, oh, no. You're going to still yell. It's just after the fact, you're going to realize how it could have been different. And then that's the slow progression of you catching yourself in the moment. It's not, I think anyone who's going to sell you something that says like, you're no longer going to yell at your kids after you've watched this. I know, like we're still human. You have to
like
deprogram.
Chip away at,
yes.
Like, the wiring of like, or the reflex.
Yes.
Is like what it's helped me with. But this is like interesting. I don't know the answer to this, but when we were talking about boundaries, I feel like my parents didn't really like set safety boundaries, honestly, like to a real.
Like you're concerned. You're concerned right now. You're like, I don't understand why they didn't care.
I was talking to my daughters the other day because Tesla just started learning how to ride her bike and she's obsessed with it. And she's like, I wish that like I was older and could just take my bike and like bike anywhere. I was like on the highway. And she's like, yeah. I was like, I have to tell you a funny story. I was like, when I was like maybe 9 and Katie, my younger sister, was at that time 5, I asked my parents if we could go for a walk, and they said yes. I'm like, but you know Nanny and Popsy, they probably thought like, yeah, why not? I was like, but I remember walking like on the highway and a car pulling over being like, this isn't safe, like I'm not going to pick you up, but like you have to walk home and I'll like be behind you. And it didn't make like, so anyway, no safety boundaries. I just think that's a funny story, but unrelated.
It is. I thought it was going to go different. I thought you were going to say they tried to get you in the car and you freaked out. It was just like a good human that was like,
yeah. I don't even think I like told my parents this is how. And my parents were not out to lunch. They just, I don't know, like it was the times and whatever. But what I did feel that I had was like, I'm not going to make bad decisions even when I saw friends do it. Like I'm thinking of like high school, like they drank at like the spirit day and I was the only one of my friend that didn't. They all got like expelled.
We would have been friends. I was the same. I was like so lame that way.
But I don't think it was like my parents like setting boundaries around that.
Are you the oldest?
Middle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No,
you act like
maybe it was my older sister being so unhinged and being a drinker on Spirit Day that maybe that's what it was. It's just interesting to think about like how we internally grow into our own boundary setting around safety and decision making, and of course parenting and environment and all of that contributes to that. But you never know what way it's going to go, really.
You really don't. And I think back to like how I was raised too. Like I didn't have harsh rules. I just always stayed in my lane.
Right.
But because as I'm a forever like people pleaser, I'll say I'm recovering.
Maybe that's why I did it too.
I think you're just trained in a sense to stay in line. And I also
you hit the nail on the head. Yeah. I was like, oh, they'll think I'm the bad girl. I can't.
You can't. Who would you be then? You would be. Yeah. But also I think too with the drinking and stuff. And again, it depends on like how extreme it was. But I think too, it's like a loss of control there. You didn't know what was to happen. You might have been told. So
I was just like, this doesn't even sound fun.
This is not my vibe. You don't want a Mike's Hard Lemonade or whatever it was.
Right.
You know, whatever they were drinking.
Yeah. But I do think you're so right. It was also this like, who am I if I'm the drinker on Spirit Day? I'm the one that gets all the good grades and makes all right. That was just like my identity.
Which goes to show you that like you had a great childhood and your parents like forgot to tell you to not walk on the highway, you know, like
to the neighbors.
Like it's just there. And I have, you know, other girlfriends now that were like still friends. And I think I had some parents who were very strict. And yeah, they were like, they went a little past, they went more off the hinges. Is that they're off the hinge, right? They went more off like the deep end with things, but still are good humans.
Because they were so restricted.
Yes. So I think it could be like that. Or like my parents I think my parents constantly told me what a good kid I was and how easy I was and how like a good girl, not like good girl, that I think I really did. You know, but to the point where like, you know, my own journey with like my own therapy, like it's like 20 years now of that. But like, I've just realized that like being a people pleaser, like later in my years was really like it was like a selfish thing.
Totally is.
Because I was just
totally is.
I just was
I'm calling myself
oh
out,
my God,
but.
same. No, I know you get it. And I was just like, it wasn't until I actually had a session with Shefali once, and she was like, oh, so you're like, you think like you're really important.
Yeah.
Like you really think, and I was like, what? But yeah.
It's so interesting because, right, you think people pleaser, like I'm a martyr to everybody else. Like,
no, you do it for you. Yeah, you want that image. But you know what? My like turning point where I like realized I didn't like the way I was showing up. I just like wasn't happy. Like I had everything that I felt like should be happy, you know? I got married, I had kids, I had the degrees, I did the like achievement like in my career. This was like pre the conscious mom stuff. And I was just like, if I don't feel like happy and good enough now, when?
Yes.
Like when? And that's when I realized like any compliment I got about like an extravagant party I threw or like how adorable my baby was or how nice my home was decorated. Like I never liked those compliments. Like I received them and then I was just like, because it wasn't me, I think. I feel like it was just like this mask that I wore for so long. And
like
that's
kind of made you feel like imposter, like sort of?
Not
like,
imposter. I just think I knew that like that
wasn't.
The praise I was getting wasn't for who I really was. It was just this like image. And it was almost like repulsive at times. People would like, I'm not saying people were obsessed with me, but there were certain people that were just like so like fawning over, oh my gosh. And I'm like, no, like you like I need to chip away at this. And I love that you said chip away because I feel like that's what it is. It's not the adding. I feel like we think our world tells us add more, be more, do more. Yeah. It's actually like getting rid of it all. And then you're like, oh my God, I actually like myself and I like who I am. Like
that must be like what is behind why I use that term because that's really it.
You are.
Like that visual.
You are chipping away, I think, you know, of like all the stuff that you're doing for yourself. I think we all need to do that. And I think it all happens at different like times, you know?
Yes. Oh man, there's so much that we can relate to. Like that, before mommies, before the conscious mom, like we did a lot of our own work.
100%.
Right? Like we couldn't show up here like this.
That's why I didn't like go, like after I left Columbia and like did counseling and I worked in like rehab centers and stuff. And I was just like, I realized like, how can I help these people who are in their, like at that time in their 40s and 50s, like older people, that's me now. How could I help them with their issues when I realized there was so much I wanted to work on? So I like took a 10-year hiatus. I didn't go into therapy. Like I worked in like the corporate world, but of course I always worked in positions where I was like helping people and like getting connected to them. And that's when I went on. Like I did different types of therapy and conscious parenting for years. And that's when I realized like if I can free myself from feeling like this, like I need to do this for others, even though it was very unconventional. Like when you come from a therapy background, like being a coach feels like, is that silly? And I realize it's so not silly. Like it's so what moms need. Not everyone needs therapy is amazing and I love therapy and I recommend it for anyone who needs it. But like not everyone needs that diagnosis. Some people are just needing to work through other things. And I'm like, I feel like I have that's like my dream job in a sense that I get to help moms feel so much better about themselves without me like giving them anything. It's already there. Like, and I say it all the time, like you're doing so much more right than wrong. It's like every mom I've ever worked with, I've never been like they're doing so much more wrong than right. No, they're always
I love when you
getting
say
it
that
right.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Like there's no mom that's asked you to give them unsolicited advice, but every mom wants the unsolicited, like they're doing a good job. Yeah.
The first page in my book says, water what's already growing. And that's like that's the like kind of like the premise of the book, because I think in our world, we are taught to just look at the weeds and focus on pulling them out. Yes. And then we forget the beautiful things growing. That means for us and our kids though. You know, we're so focused that our child hasn't mastered tennis, but we forget that they're doing so well in these other things. Like, so it's just it's a really great reminder to just like step back and be like, you know, not like pretending like everything's fine and everything's perfect. It's not that. It's just like, what if we just enjoyed what we had and what's already growing and water more of that? And that gives us momentum to like fix and change the things we want to like heal and do better at. So yeah, that's the first page of the book. I'm like, I'm going to set the tone before I get into the deep stuff.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's like similar to anything. Like I'm honestly like floored that, you know, I thought that I could just like guide parents under the premise of like, this is how you should like talk to your baby. That's like what it initially was the purpose. Like, let's respectfully diaper change and all this stuff. And then it turned into what you said, like being able to coach moms in the moms groups I did, but not by like this is what you already have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was going on that journey alongside them. Like, there's so many times where I'm like, wait, I've done so much work and the internal work. How did I ever do
I know.
any like live before? You know what I mean? It's like, it's just kind of very self-reflective to look back on that. But I love that you opened the book that way. It's sort of like water. I don't know. Katie Sands said this thing when she was on, like, water the grass. I don't know. I'm gonna botch it.
That's
but
fine.
It's exactly
sounds
what you're
sounds the same. Yeah, right.
I'll find the quote and send it to you. But I love that. It's sort of why we were saying chip away. Like, it's there.
100%. And
like, just weed.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think if you open up, I'm going to say newspaper. This is how I'm old. So I'm saying a newspaper. If you open up Instagram or whatever, it's going to tell you about things you don't know yet, things that could be going wrong. And it's like, I feel like there can be a little fear mongering in motherhood, and I don't like it. I think it's
you really like dispel that with what you do.
I'm glad you get that.
It's like so refreshing. I know it seems like I'm just like plugging it shamelessly.
Please
here,
do.
I know you don't.
I'm happy for you.
I know.
To do that.
Here I am, like feeling like I'm glad can't do that, and we can absolutely. I just want people to know it's really authentic, is what I'm trying to say. There was not one part of me that when I was going to open Erin's book that felt there would be anything fear-mongering, anything that was adding to my plate. I just knew it would be a breath of fresh air.
Okay, good. I'm so glad.
Like, even just meeting you for the first time.
I know. It's so funny that it's like actually meeting you in person.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when I said hi to you. You're like, it's so amazing to meet you, because I feel like I know you.
I know.
But where can people find more of you? Since clearly we can keep talking.
I
but
know.
I need to reel
we
it
gotta
in
wrap it up
for us both.
I need to eat. I'm like always hungry. You can find me on Instagram. It's The Conscious Mom, and then my book 3 Minutes From Mom. You can get it Amazon,
anywhere.
Barnes and Noble, Target, anywhere. And my personal favorite though is the Audible version, because then you can like listen. A lot of moms are getting both just because if they want to like. They had a drop off and like it was awful. They'll put it on. And they're like, I kind of like listening to your voice.
I want to listen to it, but I do like. Aren't there like exercises in it and stuff like that you can like?
Yeah, there's like a takeaway. So the breakdown of the book is basically a quote, like a paragraph about like the thing we're talking about, and then like a tangible takeaway that isn't just like meditation or journaling. It's things that you can
still get that from the Audible.
Yes, you can still get it. It'll tell you like open up your phone and set a reminder for this, or like take a post-it on your door.
Like exercises. Yeah.
Yeah, like quick, simple things that are not, you don't have to do them. It's just like if you want an actionable item. Yeah.
Right. I use those little tabs that you sent with it.
To
place hold. Thank you so much for being here.
You.
I love talking to you. And
so
thank
good.
you all for listening.